Hey there, welcome to SharkCast Pod, a podcast dedicated to the greatest sporting club in the history of the world, the mighty Cronulla Sharks. This show is brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the legends of the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes of Cripps Real Estate. My name is Sam Shinazi, OG 2015, podcasting into our 12th season, having a lot of fun doing so. We're ramping up. It's one of the most exciting times of the year, the preseason. There's so much hope in the air, and just get back into the groove of rugby league. On the other end of the line, if you're listening on the podcast, if you're watching on the video, you can see already he's a good friend of ours, good friend of mine. I've known this guy for almost 30 years. We were just talking about where the time goes. Holy smokes. But it's been a wonderful 30 years. He's an entomologist. He's the go-to person in New South Wales about mosquitoes and other things that make me go jumpy and make me all squeamish. Gifted musician. He is literally the band Seaworthy, whom I once had the honor of being in that band, but thankfully he kicked me out. He kicked Greg Bird out. Greg Bird is brother-in-law, not the rugby league player, and he is now just Seaworthy. Check them out on all your streaming apps. Husband, father, as he's been declared on the show, he once saw Jennifer Love Hewitt in concert, though, as I've noted, it might have been Jennifer Hewitt. Not sure about that. It was so long ago. Please welcome Mr. Cameron Webb, big Sharks fan. Cam, how you going?
Yeah, Sam, good to be with you as always. Looking forward to the start of the season kicking off soon.
We're here. It's I guess it's kicked off. If it's not, it's on Sunday, which is exciting. So Henson Park, which we'll talk about later on, 6 o'clock kickoff for NRL, starts at 10:30 with the lower grades, 5 games of footy, which is going to be awesome. So we'll talk about that a bit later on. Got a lot to get through, a lot of news breaking and things to get to, a bit of mail. And we'll give you a bit of a flagship show tonight, which is going to be fun. Now, Cam, you were down at the members launch last week with about 1,000 other diehard members. Warm day, we know that.
It always seems to be. Like, I think we've been to the last 4, and I think that they either, one, I think it rained, but the other 3 seem to have been brutally hot, where no matter what time of the sort of off season they're held in. But it was a good fun day, and I guess that everybody's there to kind of meet the players, get their bits and pieces signed, and so it's always tough because while the club has done a good job of putting on other things, particularly for the kids, a few kind of activities, games, everyone's there to kind of meet the players. And so you inevitably end up in quite a long line in the sun, and it becomes a bit of a brutal wait to see the players. But, it's tough for the players. They're there for probably a few hours almost, signing autographs. Everyone was super friendly. When you get to meet the players, everyone's in a good mood, lots of photos and stuff. So, a big shout out to all the players and the club for organising that, because I think it's a bit tough to sit in a chair and sign autographs for such a long period of time. But there was nothing but friendliness and good moods amongst everybody, particularly the players and all the support staff around. So, congratulations to the club.
The way your career is going, Cam, you'll be getting used to that, sitting in a chair, signing autographs.
I don't know of anything like that, Sam, although there was a lot of talk about why SharkCast Pod didn't have their own stand there on the day. So there's a growing swirl of momentum between there being something next time round. So I reckon a really great idea.
Yeah, we actually almost pulled it off this year, but both mutually decided it wasn't going to be the right time, right place. But maybe next year we might even do a bit of a show from there. So we've got a year to work that out. But I heard it was a great day. Obviously, very trying conditions, but a lot of fun was had. Now, I want to ask you, Cam, what's your thoughts about the season ahead? Now, a ball hasn't been kicked for us yet, so it's a big ask to ask you this. But, you're one of the smartest guys I know. Tell me, what are you expecting this year?
Yeah, I think it's like the last few years, isn't it? We're going in with pretty high expectations, and especially since we've made a couple of prelims now, we know the squad hasn't changed too much. And I think that it's a little bit different this year, because last year was just so much excitement and momentum and distraction in a way, I guess, because of Vegas. We're going into this season with a bit more of a steady build up. I think enthusiastic, positive, but I've also got a bit of a tinge of anxiety because I know that we've got the squad to be highly competitive, nervous about things that can derail us, particularly injuries. But I think that if we're in a position where we're going into the finals, hopefully with a good shot of finishing the top four, we're not impacted too much by injury or suspension. We've got some good form on the board. I think that we're all well placed. And I think it's that nervousness, isn't it, about how we've had a great shot the last couple of years. Things haven't quite worked out, but also knowing that, sometimes bad luck can cruel a season at the wrong time of the year. And so there's anxiety between leading into a really long season, knowing how important it is to have kind of luck on our hands at the end of the season. But hopefully everything falls into place. And so, so I guess in summary, enthusiastic, positive, a little bit apprehensive, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's interesting you raise the anxiety and apprehension because I didn't really feel that until you said it. But for me, it's not about what happens when we get there, like get to a prelim. Oh my God. It's like, I'm more apprehensive about, now you say it, about getting there, because that is the expectation. And to live up to that expectation, it takes a lot. I mean, we've talked about it over the past 6 months. Really, all it takes is a couple more wins, and that's doable, especially based on last year. But, if they have a slow start, if there's injuries, which can happen any year, we just haven't really had that under Fitzy, then we're talking a different story. But there's no reason to think that's going to happen. It's just the unknown, as you say. But that's every year, the unknown, And I'd rather be in this position where we have a pretty stacked team, good coach, good experience now after 4 years. I'd rather have that expectation than we could make the 8. We'll be between 8 and 10. I don't want to be in that spot ever again. So, yeah, interesting times, that's for sure. Let me ask you, when you saw Ronaldo and McInnes, how were they looking last week at the launch?
Yeah, both of them look pretty good, actually, I've got to say. And actually, Ronnie was walking around, looked completely fine. And had we kind of just dropped ourselves in the preseason and not been aware of what had happened over the past sort of 3 or 4 months, you probably wouldn't have questioned that he wasn't set to run out week 1. So, so both of them look great. But I also think that there's no rush. I mean, I guess the timing of Ronaldo's injury was, as much as there could be any sort of good news to it, he's got plenty of lead-in time. There's absolutely no reason to rush him back into the squad. Plenty of time to get ready for the back end of the season, and I guess Cam's the same. So I think with both of those, we've got some great replacements. And so while you don't wish injury on anyone, I think we can cover them pretty well to start the season. And I guess that there'll be a bit of news that we talk about, which helps us touch on a bit of depth. But I think it's kind of we can cover them as best any club could do. Kind of key players being injured.
And we will talk about another acquisition to the coaching staff relating to what I'm about to say. But did you notice how fit they're all looking? Because I see them around every day around the area, and a guy like Hamlin Welly, for example, he looks almost like he's lost a quarter of his weight, but in a good way. Like, he looks amazingly fit. They all look pretty trim.
Yeah, I think they do, actually. And so that's one of the things that, if anything, I sort of noticed. It's not like I can't think of any players that I noticed and I thought that they'd bulked up surprisingly. It was more about being trimmed down. And so hopefully that just means they're fit. But yeah. Let's see what happens when they run out there. But there's certainly no questions about them all looking in pretty good shape.
So the day after you saw the NRL squad, we had lower grades playing in Maitland, and that was available to watch on Bar TV. So if you're interested in watching lower grades, it's a reasonable subscription fee for the month, and you can watch all the lower grades no matter what club you support. And so I got to watch 4 grades, Harold Matts, SG Ball, Lisa Fiola, and Tasha Gale. We only won one of the 4 games, Cam, but they were mostly close. Harold Matts lost a very bizarre game, 34-32. I noted the best on ground was Koa Cooper at fullback. Randy Ennis, with a famous surname, played at halfback. And it was a good prop there, Logan Longbottom, which is a great rugby league name. That's the under-17 boys. They played last Sunday, lost to Newcastle. This week, they're at Henson Park, which we'll get to. They're the first game, 10:30 kickoff, playing the Eels. SG Ball under-19s. They also lost a close game. Oliver Lester at fullback, Liam Challen at halfback, prop Jamie Curran as well, really looking good. They're at 12 o'clock this Sunday. Lisa Fiola, which was probably the biggest blowout, under-17s women's. They lost. I didn't see a lot of that game. They're playing 3 o'clock at Ocean Protect Stadium, also commonly known as Shark Park, on Saturday, 3 o'clock. And the under-19s, Tasha Gale, they defeated the Knights. Really good game. The halfback, Juliana Collio at halfback, as I said. Manawanu, James at prop, also really good. Next game, 4:45 p.m., Ocean Protect Stadium this Saturday. So doubleheader this week. Now, Cam, bit of a personal joke. You've always known it's my dream to have a halfback at the Sharks called Juliana, and now we have one.
This is fantastic, isn't it?
That's an ode to all of our 90s indie rock fans. There is nothing sinister about what I just said. I'm just very fond of the name Juliana. Now, I did want to talk about something very sad, Cam. I just need my phone to get to it. But we have the unfortunate news. I think it came out today or in the past 24 hours. And that is
just in the last couple of days.
Yeah, former Shark Kurt Drysdale passed away, age 31. Incredibly sad. He had a spinal injury 11 years ago, which left him a quadriplegic. And after a couple of weeks with pneumonia, he unfortunately passed away. He was a dummy half. Began his career at Helensburgh down south, played Cronulla Carringbar, Endeavour Sports High, Harold Matts, SG Ball, and NYC for the Sharks in 2014, which a lot of us would have seen. So really sad. We send our love and respect to his family and friends. I know some of them will be listening, and that's just, incredibly sad news to bring to the show. But he'll be remembered. He'll be remembered for sure.
Our thoughts with all the sort of all of Kurt's friends and family, but nicely said, Sam.
Yeah. From there, let's go to something a bit brighter. And there was breaking news yesterday, right around Team List Tuesday news, Cam, and that is Owen Trout, Englishman, back rower. Our good mate Dave Riccio was the man who broke the news. And it's looking like, I don't know if it's official, but I think he's agreed to terms. Maybe I don't know what happens from here, but he's coming to the Sharks in 2027. So next year, you would have seen him play the first test for the English against the Kangaroos at Wembley in the Ashes series. And he has played 134 games of Super League. He's 26 years old, decent back rower. And it's exciting news. I think, Cam, that they've bought someone for what I'm guessing is going to be a good price, who's going to be a really hard worker and really take them and make the most of this opportunity coming to Australia. It's always a dream for these guys in England to come to Australia and play at the top level. And I think it's a good acquisition. I've watched some of his highlights today. I watched some of the game back from Wembley, and you can access that in lots of places if you need to. But a very handy signing. I'm not going to say he's the signing of the century, but I think he's going to have a role in that back row from the bench, I would imagine. And he'd be next man up if one of our back rowers is hurt. But what's your thoughts on the signing of Owen Trout as broken by Dave Riccio?
Yeah, my first thought was I was quite surprised by it, and really seemed like something out of left field. And although I would have seen him play, I had no memory of him in that test. But the more I think about it, actually, the more I really like it. I think we've got a player here who's going to come, who's sort of had previously expressed an interest in coming to the NRL outside of this sort of signing news. So hopefully he's going to come here with something to prove. He's a little bit older. Like, I think he's sort of 25, 26. And so it's not like we're relying on one of our young guys coming through to provide a bit of depth. And I think it's that depth that I think is going to be really good, because from next year onwards, I guess that the kind of addressing the potential to lose some players with everyone being off contract, I was thinking today too that a few of our players are really going to start to move into that representative role. And so maybe from 27 onwards, there's some of our, we're going to lose players to Origin more so than what we might this year. And I guess I'm thinking particularly about Teague. And so having a bit of depth, I guess, in the next few years is going to be pretty good. Again, another international. We've talked a lot in recent years about the lack of representation of the Sharks in State of Origin, and people point to that as being a weakness. But we've got national representative across our squad, and here's somebody else who's got a bit of experience that, although limited, is going to bring it to the table. So, like you, I watched a couple of highlight reels as well, and everyone looks great in highlight reels. I must admit, but kind of looked a little bit. Yeah, reminded me a little bit of sort of Teague, maybe even a bit of Angus Crichton at moments, at times. So, what started off as being a bit of, I wouldn't say disinterest, but not kind of a lot of interest initially, kind of has probably got me to the place where I'll actually look forward to him coming and watching him play next year.
Yeah, and I think if you think about the fact that Craig Fitzgibbon, he's not exactly out there shopping for guys every day of the week. Like, he likes what he's got. But when he sees something he likes, he goes and gets it. And that gives me a lot of hope. And the fact that he would get someone from the Super League to come here, which is a massive move for both parties, I think there's a lot of faith in that. There is something here that's a little bit higher than what we think in the quality department. Like, maybe he will be a regular benchy. Maybe he'll push one of the guys. I don't know. Also, and we'll get to this quite quickly on the pod, but don't forget we got some guys off contract. Now, in particular, Cam McInnes and Billy Burns. And both will be heavily targeted, you'd think, particularly by a new Western team. So there could be something in that as well.
Yeah, and I guess the real assessment, not only how he plays next year, is about what happens to the squad and those signings of those players that we don't know about yet, and there may be, whether this hints at something else which is afoot.
It could.
We'll know next year, but yeah, at the moment I think it's pretty good. I guess the only thing I haven't done is try to work out who else in the NRL might have been off contract. I guess that's the other question. If you're looking for someone with a little bit of experience, what did this fella bring that maybe someone else of comparable experience in their NRL could have brought to the Sharks? And I guess we're looking for talking points, I suppose. But that would be the only thing that I guess it would be interesting, or it will be interesting to see who else, a back row or a lock who changes clubs ahead of 27, and we can put that in context there. But for the time being, the Bears clearly wanted him, so it wasn't someone plucked from obscurity. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, there's no figure that's been mentioned, but I'm led to believe it's nothing that's breaking the bank. So I'm not saying he's coming out here for nothing at all. Don't get me wrong, but I think there might be a bit of money ball here as well, which I quite like. And it might be the case of looking at, say, for example, and we're just speculating, say, look at Cam McInnes and or Billy Burns. How much will it cost to keep them from going to Perth? And then they look at what they're paying this fella, and maybe there's a bit of a difference there. Maybe. Yeah. So
no, I think you're right, Sam.
Wait and see on that. But Dave Riccio's article, quote, boasting a terrific ability to find space with his size and power and a robust defensive game. So a bit of action on both sides of the field. So we'll see how he goes. We'll welcome him to the club next year. The first signing from England since Jeff Grayson and Dave Eckersley in 1977. And even though I am a Sharks fanatic, I've got to tell you, before my time, and I need to look up Jeff Grayson and Dave Eckersley, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think a few Sharks fans are in the same boat as you, Sam, testing their memory about English players who have come to the Sharks.
The wonderful thing about this world, Cam, is that for every person like you and I, there are other people going, no, of course I remember that guy or those guys, which is great. So Jesse Colquhoun is done and dusted and a Shark forevermore, so to speak. We don't know how you feel about this, Cam. Tell us how you feel about Jesse Colquhoun, 4-year deal.
Oh, yeah. Give me all of this you got, Sam. Like Jesse's a great player. One of the best signings I think we could have made at the moment. So nothing but excited about watching his career develop. And as we touched on it before, is that not only do I think he's going to be a fantastic Shark, but I think that he's just going to be a great rugby league player, and it's going to be exciting to have watched his career over all this time develop. And 100% happy with that, and really quite excited to see what happens in the years ahead. Okay,
awesome. I agree. It's a great signing. Perth came pretty hard. They offered, I'm led to believe, a bit more money, a bit more of a longer deal, and he turned it down. So obviously something is happening in the waters at Cronulla. Now, speaking of which, Cam, you've been hanging out in Cronulla a lot for your work. What can you declare about that won't kind of get you the sack?
I think all I probably should say, Sam, is there's the peak mosquito season time of the year. It has me down around Cronulla, and lots of wetlands and always lots of interesting things going on in the local neighbourhood. And everybody should be wearing mosquito repellent when they're going outside in the afternoon, ready for footy training, as you're watching your kids run around with the footy training or netball training, or whatever the case might be, down around those sporting fields next to the wetlands. Put on the repellent, and that here ends the public health message from your local health authority, Sam.
No, I love it, because I thought I was in trouble for mentioning it, and then you turned it into a great professional answer. And people come to SharkCast to hear all about the Sharks, and now they know how to repel mosquitoes, which is obviously a very serious matter in all seriousness. Now, we are skipping around a lot of places here on the show tonight because it's a bit of a different show, but we are going to get to a short mail section right now because it relates to what we just spoke about. And we've got a few people who wrote in about signings and that kind of thing. So Rob on YouTube said he finds it interesting with the club making it clear Ramian is not in future plans and a position in the centres open. Two candidates in Hiroti and Vayala have chosen to leave next year. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic, and if it means Michael Gabriel has already locked himself into this spot, what are the chances he can earn the jersey for round one? So a few things there to look at. First of all, I want to make it clear that from our side of things, I don't know the club has made it known that Jesse Ramian is not in the future plans. He just hasn't signed a deal yet. So let's just make that clear. They haven't come out and said anything. I know where the confusion is because I believe Jesse's manager kind of shopped him around a bit in the offseason, but that's got nothing to do with the Sharks. They obviously held on to him for this year. They could have let him go. They didn't. So maybe he'll be here in the future. We're just not sure. But to Rob's point, are you surprised, firstly, Cam, that Hiroti and Vayala have gone elsewhere next year?
I guess I'm not surprised, but I'm a little bit disappointed. I think Hiroti has proven himself to be really reliable and a great player when he's called on. So on one hand, I'd love him around, but on the other hand, you realise that there's other opportunities for him to pursue more as a more regular first grader. So I don't begrudge him that. I think in the case of Chris, I think that there's a bit of competition there for that backline spot, and I guess that I think that everybody generally accepts that Gabriel is probably the next person to fill that position. So again, there's just better opportunities, and so I think we'll have this conversation many times over, but it'll be a case that we can't keep everyone, and so while sad to see them go, and particularly Hiroti, I think he's been really great for us. You appreciate the opportunities that are ahead of him. But I mean, to come back to the question about Ramian, I think that you're right that I haven't seen anything from the club specifically that suggests otherwise. And I think that, maybe, but at the same time, maybe there is pressure on him. And he I'm sure that he would admit he didn't have a great season last year. That doesn't mean he can't come out and start with some hot form to start the season this year. But let's just see where that plays out. But I don't see any reason why Ramian wouldn't be in the squad come round one.
No, I agree. I think that our starting centers will be Iro and Jesse Ramian. And it has been noted by the coach on our interview with the coach that Jesse Ramian in particular is having his best preseason ever. Now, maybe he's got more incentive. Maybe he's just having a great preseason. I've got no idea. But for the coach to come out and say that publicly, it means that there's no bad blood there at the moment. And who knows what the future will bring. Now, on to Rob's other point about, Hiroti and Vela. I mean, it's good signing by Perth, Chris Vela, like just a young center with a couple of games experience, very good athlete. The more he plays, the better he'll get. I think he'll be decent for them. And I think for Hiroti, I think it was just time. He got a longer deal, a better deal. He's a family guy. Got to go do what you got to do. So Mark has also written in and said, only Jesse Colquhoun and Blake Brayley are signed until 2030. I like the strategy being played out. Fitz and Mooney have I can't even read that word, Cam. They've made their foundations, built the walls, and put on the roof. A bit of a building analogy there. That's why I can't talk about it. Let's see what decorations they have in mind for the next phase. So Mark's point is only 2 guys are signed until 2030. And I don't mind it either. There's a lot of change there. Now, I keep pointing back to the Fitzgibbon interview. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it. It's a couple episodes old now. It was last Thursday, I believe. But he makes a very good point, Cam, that with all this fuss and hullabaloo about 17 players off contract, which is a legit thing, he said there's still 13, 14 guys on contract for next year.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be a new look team. But to Mark's point, in 2030, it will be a new look team. There'll be a lot of young guys there. And do you think what do you think's behind that? The fact there's only 2 guys signed to that point. Even Nico's not signed till then, so is there any sort of method behind that?
I don't think it's anything to get too stressed about. 2030 is a long while away, and I don't think there would be very many clubs at all there's probably clubs out there that don't have anyone signed for 2030.
Good point.
So I'm not too worried about that. And of course, we've got a bunch of guys, despite, like you said, we've got guys off contract, but we've got a few that are on for the next couple of years as well anyway.
Yeah.
So I think the great thing here is patience, because the last thing we want to be rushing into is just signing long contracts with people, whether it be our juniors or someone else who haven't really proven themselves. And the whole landscape of rugby league is going to change a little bit because we're going to have 2 extra clubs in the competition by then, right? And so the talent's going to be spread even more thinly. And so I think, I think the clubs really need to be very strategic about who they're signing and making those decisions about. And so no problem for me at all. And, to be honest, the players that probably are going to win us a premiership in 2030, we're not even talking about or even thinking about at the moment. And so let's see. Let's see who comes and arrives by then.
So I'm with you and I'm with Mark. I agree. I think I like it is what I'm saying. Mark's definitely not saying there's an issue. He likes it. But it's a long way away. So the fact there's only 2 guys there, it means they believe in those 2 guys. That's a really positive thing. And Ash has said, OG SharkCaster here, so we appreciate an OG SharkCaster. And then he says, I feel like 2026 will be our last season playing finals football for a couple of years as we lose a chunk of our squad. If you were Fitzgibbon and going through a list of players off contract, who would you tap on the shoulder to say you're staying, and who would you tap on the shoulder to say who is going? Now, just on that first part, about it being the last season for a while of making the finals, I, with all respects, completely disagree, Ash. We just pointed out that there's a bunch of guys who will be here. Off the top of my head, I haven't even got a team sheet in front of me, more or less, but you've got Iro, you've got Trindle, you've got Hines, you've got Brayley. You haven't got a fullback necessarily, although Liam Ison is there. You got a whole bunch of guys. Teague Wilton, you got a bunch of guys who are going to be there. There's no reason why we can't be as good in 2027. It might be a little bit different. There might be a new fullback. There might not be a new fullback. I can't stress that enough. But as Cam said, we can't keep everyone. But I don't think it's a reason just to sort of go, this is the last hurrah. And I spoke about it with Fitzy in the interview. There are plenty of people. I listened to a pod tonight of some older journos who I won't mention just because I don't really like what they actually said on the pod tonight. But they were just talking about last hurrah and the Sharks haven't made many changes, that whole story. It's like, it's a lot of negativity. And I don't mind negativity if it's something I believe is to be accurate, but I just don't think it's a reason to go, oh, we're screwed because we're going to lose a bunch of guys. So what do you, and I say that with respect to Ash, what are your thoughts there, Cam, before we get to his second part of his question?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Sam. I think that this is not about Ash, but about the narratives that all of the clubs attract, which they have trouble shaking every year. And I can just see this being the story that surrounds the Sharks for the whole year. And I think while it's something certainly for fans to think about, the reality is that we're going to have a really great squad next year. Even if we lose the bulk of these players that are off contract, like I think the kind of really core of the squad is going to be maintained. And so I don't have any hesitation in thinking that we're not only going to play finals football next year, but have a really strong squad to do it. And so time might prove me wrong. But yeah, I wouldn't be worrying, Ash. I reckon, like Sam said a couple of times, listen to the podcast with Fitzy, think about, look and see who we do have next year, and breathe a sigh of relief that, or maybe just still don't book that September holiday in 2027 just yet, because there's a good chance that we play final footballs, I think. Yeah,
and I think it's a good point you make about the coach. Like, obviously, or not obviously, maybe there's someone new listening, but I love the coach. I love what he does. And I think we're in good hands. So presuming that he's on fire next year like he has been the past 4 years, we're in good hands for starters. Now, looking at the people off contract, and I think this is correct. If it's not correct or I've missed someone, please forgive me. It's been a crazy day. But off contract at the end of this year, Beryl, Burns, Hamlin Welly, Tuku Haitapua, Blake Hosking, Sione Katoa, Will Kennedy, McInnes, Hohepa and Nephi Peru, Ramian, Rudolph, Stone Street, Talakai. Now, there's some absolute guns there. No denying that. Yep. A bunch of them are currently first graders. But Ash's question is, who would you keep and who would you keep is the answer. Cam, do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll throw out a couple of names.
Sure.
I sort of like the idea of keeping Beryl because, again, I think that we have to be mindful that even though Blake's an Iron Man, we're going to need someone to kind of step into that role. There's a couple of players who in that list who are a bit older, and I think that, again, these are players that are coming towards the back end of their career, and I think we have to make a decision about, as much as we've loved them being Sharks, whether, again, playing Moneyball, whether we're going to get the best out of keeping those players and the price tags that they rightly deserve, and can get from other clubs. Maybe we just can't make that commitment to them that perhaps we would like to, and there's some obvious players there. And then I guess there's a couple of guys where, guys like Stone Street and maybe even Herpes falls into this category as well, is that this year, with the opportunities they're probably going to get, is really going to determine what the value they have to us to sign them. And I really think that one of the things that we haven't had an opportunity to do, because we have had such a consistent squad that stayed pretty fit for the most part for all of these years, is that a lot of these younger guys coming through haven't really had any sort of extended go in first grade to sort of show us what they've got. And I think that it becomes tough for us to commit to a player who hasn't proven themselves in the NRL. And a couple of these players on the list may get that chance this season. And then from that point, we can have a bit more of an informed decision about who we want to prioritise for re-signing. But Sam, before you give your list, I guess the thing too is that there's no suggestion that all of these players will not get signed. And so there's going to be a bunch of these guys that are added to who we've already got signed. And again, as we were saying before, I think that we've got a good, everything's pointing towards having a great squad in 27 as well.
I mean, if they all take a pay cut, that's happened before in this world. I know it's not smart, but players have made pacts with teams, and the first guy I'm probably signing, and I haven't looked at his age or whatever, is Sifa Talakai. I'm just not letting him go. I'm not comfortable in any way letting him go, mostly from a point of view that he's just a really amazing player and he can do a few things that we know of. We know we don't want to see him in the centers. I respect that. But you know what? Mid-game, if you need him out there, just chuck him out there. However, that's not why I'm signing him. I just think he's such an asset to the club, and I just would not be letting him go. I know you can't throw the bank at him necessarily, given that maybe, and I could be wrong here, maybe his peak was a year or two ago. Maybe it's still to come. I don't know. But I'd be keeping him for starters.
100%.
I like how you said Beryl because, again, with all respect, he would be staying for the money he's on, which isn't, I mean, it's more money than I earn, but it's not, for a rugby league player, not huge.
But Sam, I think this is going to be an interesting season, isn't it? Because I think everybody, if I'm reading the tea leaves, we all expect Brayley to play State of Origin this year. And so that probably means that Beryl will get a few more games and primarily playing at hooker. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. And I think that, we want Blake around for a long time. And at some point, there will be a decision made that he can't play 80 minutes every week for the next few years. And so at least for the short term until we've got, I know we've got some great talent coming through, but in the short term anyway, I think he'd be a good guy to keep around.
Yeah, and I like the idea of keeping a Stone Street. I think the big question's probably around your Toby Rudolphs, your Will Kennedy's, and that might depend on a Liam Myson. Maybe the writing's on the wall there. I'm not sure. But I think it's more the forwards as well, like a Tuku Haitapua. Like he could be anything. But as you say, you sort of need time to be given to prove that. And I guess the stability of our club, he just hasn't had much of a shot. When he's been there, he's been pretty good. I'd probably keep him on potential if we could afford it. But yeah, interesting question from Ash, and appreciate that. That's for sure. Now, I'm just going to do a quick readout here for our good mate, Jason Hawes. He's at Cripps and Cripps Real Estate. Been in the biz for 22 years and probably longer than 22 years now. And he's the man around town in Cronulla and surrounding areas, Sutherland Shire. If you want to have any kind of real estate advice, whether it be selling, buying, renting, any kind of issue, Jason will help you out because he's a mate of ours. Get in touch with him on 0410 417 450. Jason Hawes at Cripps and Cripps Real Estate. Big Sharks man, member, and I think former sponsor of. All right, Cam. Now, breaking news again, and this is not great depending on how you look at it, but Emma Tonegato, as she was once known, I think her Instagram is still known as that. Great Sharks, NRL dub player. Done a bunch of stuff before she came to the Sharks. She's announced tonight on her Instagram officially that she is leaving the club. And we knew that she was pregnant. So congratulations to her and the family. So she wasn't going to play this year. But she's announced tonight that she won't be a Shark. And not sure where she's going. I guess it doesn't really matter. But that's pretty big news in the world of the Sharks.
Yeah, it's sort of it's hard not to be excited for her, of course, on one hand, but disappointed that she won't be back with the Sharks when she comes back to the NRLW. So I guess we'll just wait and see where she's going to end up playing. But look, I think for the time being, as disappointed as we can be, it is worth acknowledging that she made a great contribution to the Sharks, and we loved seeing her play. And again, one of those disappointing things that probably we may have to get used to with both of the squads. But it's sad to see her go.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is there are great young athletes coming through the NRLW, particularly in the Sharks system. So there will be a plan in place there. But yeah, last game as a Shark, I would imagine officially, because she is, as we said, pregnant. So just sort of coming to terms with that one, because it's pretty big in the scheme of things. She works at the club, which I guess she won't be, although that's none of our business. But big news in the NRLW world, in Sharkland for sure. Now, some positive news, Cam. A guy that I used to work with, Matt Shirvington. This one came out of the blue. He's our new speed coach. And it has to be said, over the past few years, we've all been thinking, you know what? We're not the quickest team. We're pretty skillful. We're pretty flashy, but we're not the fastest team. I don't think anyone can deny that. But Shervo's come in, a former Olympian. He hosts Sunrise on 7. He has been at the Dogs and the Dragons before us at various points in his career. Now, the 3 things he's focusing on acceleration, agility, and top speed. And he already thinks that we're on our way, which is great. But I'm pretty happy with this one, Cam.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I just wonder. I mean, it's a great story. It's great seeing him there with the boys. Whether he's going to be able to get them to run faster, I'll just wait and see. I don't know if that's something that you can magic up with a few drills. I mean, if the guys that are in the squad now, I'm not sure how much extra pace we're adding to them. But anyway, it's great to have another voice amongst the coaching staff and maybe a different perspective that they can change their techniques a little bit or something. But I don't know. I'll wait and see what happens out on the field there, Sam.
Cam, that could be the most negative thing you've ever said about the Sharks.
Sorry. But the problem is, Sam, now look, I have been burned by decades now.
I know.
Almost year after year of finding out that the Sharks have just signed some guy that's the fastest guy ever to run on the face of the planet. And then we see them play and they get run down by some overweight forward or something. It's just my dreams have been shattered too many times. So, and the one guy who was generally fast kind of had other problems. So anyway, we'll see, Sam.
Well, look, acceleration, maybe you can teach them how to accelerate at the right time. Agility, that's important. Top speed, not sure how you work that one out, but he's a good guy, Shervo. He works hard. A great fella to have around. And I think it can only be a bonus. No matter what happens, I'm glad someone is there because we do need these little things. You know, we always talk about, has Nico got a kicking coach or, you know, bring in Ennis to work with Blake. Or, you know, these guys need some help as good as they are. And I think that that's a positive thing. And it looks like Coach Fitzy is really trying to just tick every box. So, you know, if we're not quicker by the finals, well, then we can talk about it. But Shervo is a Shark, and he's a hell of a nice guy. If you see him around at the game, I'm sure he'd take a selfie with you and have a few minutes with you. He's a really nice guy. Now, we have an All-Stars match coming up, Cam, and it's on Sunday afternoon. There is men's and women's. The Sharks have 10 players from both games. It's happening in Hamilton. Have you been to Hamilton, Cam?
You know what? I have been to Hamilton very briefly. Nice part of New Zealand. So, really nice. They'll all have a great time there outside of the footy. Good.
So Nico and Braden Trindle will be the Indigenous halves. So they're the starting halves. So that's, in essence, a trial match they'll be playing. You know, we're looking at the team this week. They're not named. They're playing a trial match, pretty high quality one too. So that's kind of cool. And Jesse Ramian's at center, and Hohepa Puru's been given another shot as well. So that's really cool. Good reward for him. Yeah, and definitely. They'll be opposing Britton Nikora and Mawini Harodi, which is awesome in the Maori side. And for the women, we have Quincy Dodd, Jada Taylor, Caitlin Johnston Green, and Rhiannon Byers, 4 excellent players, all playing for the Indigenous team. So that's pretty cool. I mean, the NRLW is a while away. That's a tough ask to sort of get them together and play an important match and have some time off. But it'd be good to see them run around. Hopefully they come out of it with great health. On the men's side of things, I'm particularly looking forward to the Hines-Trindle combo they can.
Yeah, and it's good too that they're just playing together as well. Yeah. So there's at least disruption to at least their game together. So it'll be great. It'll be great to see them play around with a different squad. And same as you always say, Sam, for these sort of type of games, as long as they walk off the pitch without injuries, it's a success.
Man, I would get into so much trouble. I should say I will get into trouble when I become the owner / whatever else of this club, because under my watch, the boys and girls aren't going to like the way I run the club.
Yep.
And I'll find other ways to have them represent their amazing cultures. In the NFL, you're not even allowed to play a preseason. There's 3 preseason games. You play about 5 minutes each. Anyway, that's a yearly thing I bring up, and that's why they won't let me buy the club. The only reason, because they know I won't let them play.
Look, I've seen those. I've seen you striding down to the club with those suitcases of money, and they keep turning you away, Sam. But one of these days, someone's going to say yes, and these players are going to know won't know what's hit them.
The thing is, when they turn me away, I just end up at the Sharks merch store across the hall, and then Ash and all the people there just love seeing me there with my bags of money buying merch for the Sharks. Speaking of which, I want to give a shout out to the Shark Bite Collective. They are an online association led by Danny, who's a great fella. And he also has a great graphic design, La Familia Art and Design. So reach out to Gary, to Danny, I should say. We'll get to Gary in a minute. Reach out to Danny. It's a supporters club online, particularly on Facebook. So whether you go to the games, whether you live across the world, it's a good place to just hang out and talk about sharks, the Shark Bite Collective. So look them up, particularly, I believe, on the Facebook. And that's led by our mate Danny, who is a good fella. Speaking of Gary Dover has left us. I guess that's news. We're doing news. That's news. Gary Dover has left us. People are falling off their chair right now. If you haven't caught up with the news, follow us on Insta for that kind of news. But Gary has been dragged across the bridge, and he's gone to the Bulldogs with Gus Gould, who is another local. Like all these locals, Cam Sorrello's a local. Basically, all the Shire work for the Bulldogs. So we wish him all the best. He will be appearing on the show. We've already worked that stuff out. He will be at Cronulla games, which is exciting. But the big loser here is the Cronulla Sharks, because they're not going to have Gary Dover.
Yeah, that's right. Great photographer. He's an okay kind of guy. Average podcaster. Good to get rid of him, really, Sam. Look, I mean, it was nice of you to say those nice words, but it was. We wish Gary all the best, and
we do.
Loved his contribution both officially as part of the Sharks and not. And in all honesty, he is a pretty amazing photographer. And I know I was in his ear a few times about having an exhibition of some of his photos, and I still reckon that's a good idea. It's just that I won't bother turning up to see photos of Bulldogs players.
Now, when I say the Sharks lose out, he will be replaced. And the people who work under Gary are really phenomenal people. So they're not going to lose too much, but it is our boy Gary. He's fantastic at his job. So we wish him all the best. I'm looking forward to seeing him and Gus Gould over a table at Mr. Paisley's, because they both go to the same cafe, but now they're both dogs. That'd be fun one to just sort of rock up and sit down and say, "Hey, Gus, I'm Sam."
Have you because Gus probably gives Gary a lift to work most days, I'd imagine.
If he doesn't, it's definitely in the works. So,
okay.
Now, Gus came out on the X, and someone wrote to him about something, and then he replied saying, "My entire household are all Sharks fans." So, wife, children, they're all Sharks fans. How good's that?
So his family were the ones that dragged Gaz over.
Maybe. Incredible stuff. What a year we're living in, 2026. What could possibly happen next? I've got no idea. Now,
put your phone down, Sam.
I know it's about to go.
Something will happen.
So, big week this week. Let me throw up the graphic for those people watching. For those people listening who we love and adore, the Beer Footy Food Festival is here. It's Henson Park, Sunday, 10:30 till 7:30 p.m. So we've got Harold Matts starting at 10:30. You've got SG Ball, Jersey Flag, Cup, as in the Jets Cup, and NRL Trial, which is 6 p.m. It's brought to you by the Good Time Sports Company. Now, do you know who runs that, Cam? Just as a trivia question for you.
No, I don't think I do, Sam. Let me know.
It is Dan and Matt Rule from the Annandale days.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So if you ever went to the Annandale, I mean, I'm not sure of the years, but definitely from when it closed, and probably 5-10 years before that, the Rule brothers owned it and ran it and did a great job. Very fun place to be. They've since gone on to do a bunch of things in the entertainment world. And one of these things is the Beer Footy Food Festivals. So you're in good hands there. A lot of street food vendors, craft breweries, distillers, and a lot of rugby league. From 10:30 till 6, Sharks will be represented. And I'm not sure where the ticket sales are at, Cam, but if people are locked in to go, they should probably get a ticket before it sells out. If you're unsure about what you're doing, that's your business. But if you plan on going, I'd definitely get a ticket because it'd be a pretty populated event, I would think.
Yeah, I think so. We've got our tickets in hand and already starting to review the checklist of what food stalls and breweries will be hitting up. So we've been to the last couple of these sort of events at Henson Park. They're super fun, super busy, good vibes, and so it'll be great. On the weekend, and hopefully the weather's good. Lots of footy to enjoy. What's not to enjoy?
What's your
people down there?
What's your loose plan as far as when you might arrive?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can tell you that I probably won't be lining up at 10 o'clock to get in for the first game, but love to see the Jets, and so hopefully catch 2.5 games maybe. But let's see what the weather's like, what else is happening. It's not the worst place to be hanging out and sitting on the grass. So there's multiple kind of different sort of cuisines and food vans and stuff available. So the longer you're there, the more you can justify trying quite a few of them. Now,
the Sharks have played officially, so we'll call it NRL, but what I mean is Premiership first grade games. They played 15 games there, Cam, since 1967. They've won 4, lost 11. Now, first of all, stop worrying because it's just a trial match, but also they haven't played there since 1990. So it's hard to sort of equate these great stats that I'm giving you with reality. But just so you know, played there 15 times, won 4. The first game we played there was in 1967. We lost to Newtown. The last game we played there was in 1990. We lost to the Roosters. So the Roosters used that as their home ground for a year or two. So that's a bit of info for you. What else can I tell you about this trial match? So we'll go through the teams, but I can tell you the Sharks have 10 players with NRL experience. Parramatta have 17. So they've come into it a bit heavier than us. And if you want to look back to last year, we drew 12-all with that game at Shark Park against the Warriors, and then we won 40 points to 10 against the Raiders. The Eels were 1-1 last year as well in their trial matches. Now, it's an interesting team, Cam. I'll just go through it real quick, then I want to get your thoughts and what you felt when you heard about it. But Liam Eisen, Christian Dixon, Chris Vaiella, Michael Gabriel, Sam Stonestreet, Riley Pollard, Nephi Peru. That's your back line. Your pack is Braden Hamlin-Welly, Jaden Beryl, Tom Hazelton, Billy Burns, Sifa Talakai, Toby Rudolph. Immediate bench, so to speak, is Riley Jones, Bradley Fernley, Felix Fartilli, and Harrison Hassett. And then Sam McCulloch, Jackson Lavender, Taj Ford, Xavier, I'm going to say Canachotti, not sure about the pronunciation there, Alex Challoner, Nakora Williams, and Jonte Jr. Beetham Mesa. Now, 10 guys with NRL experience because Riley Jones played 1 game for the Knights in 2023. But what were your thoughts there, Cam? Because I was a bit surprised by the, particularly the forward pack.
Yeah, I was really surprised actually. But I guess it makes sense that these guys are having to compete against other. Fitz wants to see them up against a mostly kind of pretty strong forward pack from the Eels as well. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we've become so used to these trials. It's not until the second one that we start to see some of the squad closer to looking like the NRL team. But, yeah, good to see these guys out there. And I guess it's like all these things, isn't it? It's about how long they play for and stuff like that. But interesting to see where Toby Rudolph's been named, and that was sort of one out of left field. But yeah, some guys. Otherwise, there's some guys there that I look forward to seeing, and Ison in particular, of course, as fullback.
Do you think there's anything behind it, as in naming such an experienced forward pack? Like, does it mean these guys are on the fringe? Or did he have to just name some older guys to go with the younger guys? Is there anything in that we should be looking at, or it's just a team?
I think it's just a team. And I guess that they, there is competition amongst the forwards for a place in why not get them all out on the field together and just see, I guess, as they say, as a bit of a shootout, isn't it, for positions? Some of them it's not their position in the starting squad in round one is not really under any doubt, but there's a couple of these guys that are really fighting for more time and a starting place rather than the bench place. But of course, as you said already, there's a whole bunch of other guys that have other commitments, so aren't playing. So
true, yeah.
Let's see how it all plays out. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. But Sam, I think as well as seeing Isom, I think I'm looking forward to seeing Riley Pollard. Obviously, we've seen him play before, but just seeing how he performs with a bit more time out there, and Nikora Williams, who I don't know. I don't know if I've really noticed. I've seen him play, but probably haven't paid attention so much, and a lot of discussion around him, I guess, in the last sort of 12 to 18 months. And so, again, nice to be able to see him out there amongst it.
Yeah, they've mostly kept Nikora to the younger grades, so he hasn't been on display necessarily week to week unless you go look for him. Played Origin under 18s, I guess it was, and a great player, centre with the world at his feet. And we've got a few centres there, so there's two or three guys in particular who may or may not stick around in the next 3 or 4 years. I've got no idea, but you can only have so many good centers, I guess. But yeah, there's some good guys to look forward to. I too am looking forward to Riley Pollard. I really admire what he does at such a young age. And yeah, I'm happy for guys like Sam McCulloch and Nikora Williams, who we spoke about, getting a reward on not only good sort of lower grade form, but also good trial form last year. A bunch of these guys played trials last year, the week one trials in particular. So it's good reward. It's just another bit of experience for them at the top grade. I won't go through the Parramatta team, but when I was looking and comparing the guys that have played first grade or not, and some of these names just, over summer just sort of left my brain. But yeah, he's actually named a pretty strong squad aside from Mitch Moses and a few other guys. But yeah, it's I would imagine the majority of this, I think 17 guys I said have played first grade. I would imagine, 13 of them will be in the 17. So
yeah, definitely.
I would imagine that they're favored to win in whatever kind of way you want to look at it. Not that matters, of course. We just want to see good performances, no injuries. But I was surprised when I did the math and went, wow, 17 first graders. So that'll be another good test for our younger team, although there are experienced guys there that we said. So big day out there. And as I said, if you are definitely going, get a ticket, because you don't want to rock up, go to, Marrickville and get to the gate and see the big sign sold out. So, if it's not sold out, then fair enough, but it very well could be. These things are quite popular, particularly with the inner Westies. But you've also got all the Parramatta fans, all the Sharks fans, all the Newtown fans. So it's a big sort of mixture of people coming to the ground.
Yep.
And I would imagine that a fair bit of real estate will be taken up by the food trucks and everything else. So reduced capacity to what you might know as Henson. So,
yeah, I think that's what I was just going to say, is that whether it's a whether it's a sellout or not, there's still a lot of competition for space on the hill. So, don't snooze. Get your ticket, lock it in.
Good stuff, Cam. Now, before we get going, because I think we might have, let me just see all this thing, my list of things. I think we've covered everything that we were going to cover. I believe you went and saw, I know, you went and saw Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds in the last few weeks. How was that?
Yeah, fantastic. Love Nick Cave, live performer, fantastic, given he's nearly 70 or something. I don't know where he gets the energy. I hope I've got half that energy when I'm as sort of as old as he is. But anyway, yeah, it was fantastic. Two shows at the Domain. One of the shows I was lucky enough to be quite close up to the front, so it was really fantastic, Sam.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, he never really a Nick Cave show never disappoints, but
no,
it's something else to see a full Bad Seeds lineup, and so I think who knows how many more times we'll get an opportunity to see that full Bad Seeds lineup. So it was really fantastic.
So I've seen him probably 4 or 5 times in my life, and I think 4 of them were without the Bad Seeds, and they were unbelievable. As recent as what was it last year when he did the solo
or the State Theatre,
the duo shows, and that was just unbelievable. Amazing performer, but Bad Seeds is just different level. And I didn't go to this show for a bunch of different reasons, but I was really put off, which I shouldn't be, by the fact that it was an outdoor show, etc., which is just my snobbery when it comes to music. But then that night, I ended up working one of the shows at least at Fox, and I was on a break and I had a look and I saw, a link to a review that night of the show. And it was just, the best review I've ever read of anyone. It was just, you had to be here. He was the king of Sydney. He was motioning the bats to come across and all this sort of stuff. And the photos looked amazing. And I read the set list. And so I'm pretty regretful not going. But Nick Cave, what an absolute Australian icon of music and pop culture, really. Anything else you got tickets to or you've been to that we should know about, Cam?
No, I went and saw Alex G at the Opera House this week. Who's young, sort of indie rock, lo-fi-ish kind of guy. Went mostly because my son really loves him. Times a real Weezer vibe. In terms of sonically, so that was a lot of fun. I think I was the oldest person in the Opera House. I will admit to that. I think there's lots of young people. Saw Dave McCormick and the Polaroids.
You went to that
ago at the Mixtape Brewery, which is a great place to go and see bands. And Sam, you and I have saw Knievel there and Smudge a couple of months ago, so that was
great
good.
Bar.
I'm desperately on the lookout for a ticket to go and see Cameron Winter at the Opera House next week, who's the lead singer of Geese, who I'm not necessarily a big fan of, but I really do love Cameron Winter's heavy metal solo album. So I think when I signed up for the kind of resale ticket website, they said there was about 5,000 people in front of me in the queue. So I don't know if my chances are
is it a pecking order?
I'm sure it is, but I think hottest ticket in town, as the kids would say. And so,
so explain to me, Cam, about Geese, because I heard the solo record and I really love it. And then I'd heard Geese were pretty good, like our friend Aaron was telling me about it. He's probably listening. And then I saw him on Saturday Night Live. I don't know if you've heard about this performance, but it was very, shall we say, nonchalant. Now, you and I, we grew up with nonchalant. Like that was our bread and butter.
It's called slacker.
Right?
The technical term is slacker, Sam.
It is called slacker. Is that what I was seeing?
I think so, but I'm not.
Okay.
But I'm also not. I'm not as big of a fan of Geese. Just maybe my age or maybe their music. It's a funny kind of a thing, Like I said, I'm not. I didn't sort of scramble to go and see Geese's show here in Sydney or go to Laneway, but and I think that was one of the problems why I kind of snoozed on getting tickets to the Cameron Winter show initially, because maybe a bit swayed by that. But
So did you say you went to geese? Is that what you said, or you're going?
No, not necessarily a fan of geese, but
Gotcha.
The Cameron Winter Solo Show is something that I'd, hopefully I can kind of scramble and get a ticket to. That'll be, that'd be great. But it's a good. Yeah. There's lots of bands coming up, Sam. Got my Bell and Sebastian tickets for later in the year for them coming back to do the If You're Feeling Sinister album, which is fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Deftones in a couple of months' time, and off to Black Country New Road, I think later this month with at the Enmore, which should be fun as well. So busy year of rock and roll ahead as well.
Now, without getting too personal, and like everyone kind of does it, because I can say the same thing with my kid, but my kid's a lot younger than your kids. But you've really done well here, Cam, because one of your children, I use the word, one of your kids, they're not kids anymore, one of your kids who listens to this show, has been on this show, is a Sharks fanatic. And I'm not
Correct.
sure where her musical taste lies. It's none of my business, although I think I've asked her. But your other kid, I'm getting my terminology wrong. Your other child, kid, whatever, is obsessed with and plays really good music, but his passion is music, and he's obviously got great taste, very, very wide-ranging taste, which is awesome. So basically, you spend your time by being an amazing dad by going to the footy with one of your little people, and the other little people you go to rock and roll shows with.
I got lucky, didn't I, Sam? I don't think it's anything of my design or parenting, but certainly lucked out with that. But I don't want to embarrass her by saying this, but Hannah has mentioned recently, because she did spend a day in Western New South Wales, that country is very as part of her now. So she does. So she's going to talk to you about country music.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, Hudson certainly is well and truly got some great musical taste as well. So
are we allowed to plug his release, or is that not okay because he's not?
Well, I don't know whether he's moved on to doing other things now, but I'm sure when the time comes to kind of spread the word, there'll be some recorded material from him. So a great guy to drag along to shows with, and I think the only one that we probably will both be at the show, but I don't know if I'll be quite as close to the front of stage, as we're off to Pierce the Veil at the Horden in a couple of months' time. So I think that he'll be dispatched to the pit, and maybe Dad will be up the back.
Nice. Now, we just want to give a shout out while we're giving shout outs to your children, also to our friends of the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, particularly their restaurant called The Galley. Amazing food. Go out and check it out. But if you're not interested in eating when you go down there, you can just have some drinks. You can watch sport. You can hang out and look at the beautiful view. It's a beautiful venue, the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking. Everyone is welcome. 9523-9300. They have a website, rmycph.com.au. If you see Liam around, tell him we sent you. But a great place to go, the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking. Cam's been there a few times.
I'm sure
this year we'll be back a few times more. Cam, I think we've reached the end of the show. Appreciate your patience, and you'll understand why, which no one else will understand. Hopefully, if my edit is good. But excited to see you out there at Henson, and I mean, we're almost there. We've almost had the break. The break is almost over.
No, I think we can officially say the break is over now that we're back into the routine now. Let's bring on the season.
All right. Thank you, Cam, for your time. Appreciate it. Thanks to everyone else for listening, for tuning in, for watching. Give us a like, subscribe, the whole thing. You know what I'm talking about. It helps us, and it'll give you notifications about when we do things. They're not too annoying. They just pop up going, hey, here's a new episode. Follow us on all the socials. We really appreciate that. And if you see any of us out and about, come say g'day. Tell us you're a listener or viewer, and we'll say thank you very much and have a chat about the Sharks. And we'll have more episodes for you soon, potentially sooner than you think, and most definitely post-game trial. We'll be chucking an online live show, so jump on and have your say. Love to hear from everyone this year about what's going on in Sharkland. Until then, Cam, thanks again, and we'll talk to everyone real soon. Up, Cronulla. Let's go.
Up.